Well, from Chicago, we shift back to Washington, D.C., and a battle in Congress over a bill that would extend health care for 9/11 first responders. Right now, that fund helps pay for more than 70,000 first responders. And not a moment too soon that this fund is looked at. It has officially expired this year, and many first responders are really wondering what's next. Here's House Speaker Paul Ryan.
I favor reauthorizing the program. I've asked, again, as you know, I'm more of a regular order guy, so I've asked our committees of jurisdiction to work with Congressman Peter King to come up with a solution to this program so that by the end of the year, we have reauthorized the program. I'm not going to get into the details because that's something that the committees of jurisdiction have to get into.
Will it be done by Christmas?
I think we should get this done by the end of the year. Yeah, they run out of health care money by February.
John Fields, a 9/11 first responder, who's also the founder of the Feel Good Foundation. He's going to tell us a little bit about that. But this is a very real issue to you and a lot of your friends, John. Just take us back to 9/11 and your work at Ground Zero. What happened?
Well, one, thank you for having me, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
My story pales in comparison to those who are sick and dying or who have died. 8,000 pounds of steel crushed my left foot. I spent 11 weeks in the hospital, and I wound up losing half of my left foot because of gangrene. But again, I'm blessed. I'm here, and I'm alive, and I'm fighting.
And so that happened just a few days after the terrorist attack. The number of 70,000 first responders, even after we've told this story so many times, still surprises me that there's so many people, and it's something to keep in mind that these terrorist attacks impacted such a large group of people. What is, if broadly speaking, what are those first responders suffering from?
Well, 433 out of 435 congressional districts were represented at Ground Zero. Somebody from every state came to New York.
So it's not just a New York issue?
No, it's not. It's 72,000 people across this country. This great nation sent the best of its best 14 years ago. Many of them now are sick. Many of them have cancers, respiratory problems, pulmonary fibrosis, post-traumatic, acid reflux and GERD, upper and lower airway diseases. So 33,000 people are now in the program and being treated for more than one illness. This is a national issue. It's not a New York issue.
So this fund was established a few years ago. It was passed through Congress, and there was a debate then about whether or not it should be a permanent fund. And we heard a little bit from Congressman Paul Ryan on that. That's the big question. There needs to be more money to be put into this fund, and it needs to be permanent reauthorization. You talk to a lot of lawmakers. This is part of what are the things that you do. What do you hear from them about why this hasn't gone through yet?
When this bill was introduced in April, it was introduced as a fully funded, permanently extended Health Care and Compensation Act. 257 members of Congress, bipartisan members, have agreed to that. 66 members, the latest being Senator Rubio, have agreed to that. Now there's a holdup because committee chairmen want to hold this at 10 years, or they don't want to fund it fully.
So they don't want a permanent reauthorization.
Correct. And you know, the Republicans wrap their arms around heroes, law enforcement, firefighters, military. And now they want to stop this bill from growing and maturing to a full permanent status. But keep in mind, like the black lung bill that's fully permanent, 9/11 responders aren't permanent. We're not kidding anybody with that.
I'd like to address that point, because there is a fear in general when you see Congress about passing anything that's permanent funding. This bill is scored at between $8 and $11 billion. That's how much is being required to treat these first responders. But you say that's actually going to be a finite number because there's a finite amount of people that are going to be treated.
That is correct. If the bill got extended and passed as we speak right now, there's not a new group of people coming in there. It's not going to, the numbers aren't going to grow. And if anything, the bill is going to shrink, and the program is going to shrink because more and more people sadly are going to die.
So, and that's an important point. How does it feel to be struggling to try to get this bill passed?
Well, we've been to D.C. 19 times this year. Next Wednesday, we'll be down there for our 20th time. And I'm going to bring hundreds and hundreds of 9/11 responders next week because we have deadlines. They want to leave on December 11th.
Talk to us a little bit about that, because we heard Paul Ryan say, well, they're going to run out of funds in February. But it's my understanding that the fund has expired for this year, and there's just some extra money that's going out to first responders right now. But what are some of the experiences of first responders who have to look at their treatment over the next year or 2 or 5 years? What's going through their head?
Let me answer that in 2 ways. Paul Ryan said we need to get a bill done by the end of the year, but Speaker Ryan did not say he wants to see a fully funded, permanently extended bill. So Paul Ryan needs to show leadership now, because the Freedom Caucus, every member of the Freedom Caucus is now behind this bill. Next year, if you knew Fox was going to close shop in 3 months from now, when do you send out your resume?
Man, I mean, of course, you start figuring things out as soon as you could.
Right, so those doctors and nurses that treat these heroes, they're going to send their resumes out because their futures are uncertain.
So there's a lot of nervousness and anxiety about
not just in the
healthcare treatment.
not even in the 9/11 community, but in the World Trade Center health program that treats these men across the country. Everybody's depending on Congress and the Senate to do the right thing.
Just real quick, so our viewers know, again, that's a big number, $8 to $11 billion. That's the estimate.
Correct.
What is the proposal to pay for the bill? Is it coming from, my tax dollars? Where's the money coming from?
Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand have introduced a pay-for to tax foreign companies doing business in the United States. Reinsurance companies who are making money off for insurance companies who put their money in offshore accounts. But Republicans have countered with that and want to take money from Medicare and Medicaid, which is just unacceptable. You cannot take many 9/11 responders. These men and women are on Medicare and Medicaid.
But they need additional help.
But they need additional help.
So that's interesting. So it'd be closing tax loopholes to try to use that extra money to put towards this fund, which you said is a finite amount.
I've been doing this for 12 years. If Congress wants to find money, Congress can find money. Don't insult our intelligence. We're dying, but we're not stupid.
How can our viewers help?
They can call their elected officials in every state and ask them to pass the James Zadroga Health and Compensation Act in its full form, permanently extended health care and a fully funded VCF. So these men and women can live the rest of their lives to the best of their ability. They're going to die. Our lives have been cut short.
John, it's great to have you on the program. It's something we're going to watch closely. A lot of bills have to work their way through Congress over the next 2 weeks to avoid a government shutdown. So we're going to see if this is going to be attached to one of those and what's going to happen
next. This is going to get done by the end of the year. Or a lot of 9/11 responders go to jail.
9/11 first responders are going to be hurt, absolutely. John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great to have you. John?